Hello, ALLBRIGHTers. I'm here to talk to you about an ALLBRIGHTism, or what we call the ALLBRIGHT way of no pairing. And it has to do with the word confrontation. I'm going to talk to you about what we call healthy confrontation and keeping the little things little. And we do that through a word we call no pairing. When most people hear about confrontation, they get a little nervous and they think, there's going to be conflict, I'm going to be very uncomfortable about that. So they try to avoid it. And we want to talk to you about how we can make confrontation a little easier for you. How we start with that is by understanding the root word of confrontation. So if you were to look at the definition here, it's an action of bringing two parties face to face for examination and discovery of the truth. That's a little bit easier to think about when you think of confrontation. And another definition goes on to say, a confrontation is a search for a truth. When you confront someone, your job is to know your truth, and your job is to understand their truth. The key is you can't go in assuming that you already know the truth. So when you know that, it helps you to understand confrontation. Now, I want to talk to you about the difference between expectation and performance. This is usually where we get into trouble. And if you see here, the expectation line is running like that, and the performance line is running straight across. And let's say, for example, if I was to have a gap, let's say I come home and I expected the dishes to be done, and I get home and the dishes aren't done. My expectation is disappointment. And let me tell you, what most people will do is they'll do nothing. Let me use an apprentice, somebody who's just learning the trade as an example. And let's say my expectation is he's going to mask the foundation of the home in an hour, and 2 hours have gone by and he's only about halfway done. Again, what would happen here in this scenario is what most people would do is they wouldn't confront, they would just do nothing. So that's step one. It's pretty much you do nothing. Now, I can tell you that most organizations do nothing. You think to yourself, most families handle issues this way, most companies, most people. You think to yourself, I'm too busy. I don't have time. I'll line them out tomorrow. I don't want to deal with it right now. So you do nothing. Now let me tell you what happens with step two that usually happens, and that is you go and you tell others. It's easier for me to, go have a beer with some of my friends or a friend of mine, and I complain to him that the dishes are never done. I get home, I expect it to be done, and they're not. I gripe to him instead of talking to the person that I expected to have the dishes done. The same thing with a crew leader or another coworker. He expected that house foundation to be done, and it's not. So instead of, he does nothing. Instead of saying anything, he goes and talks to somebody else, and he gripes, complains. I wish that he would be able to be faster. I wish that they were able to get that house foundation masked in an hour, but he didn't. He's slow. This is what we call pairing. So using the masking scenario, if it involves the whole team, then you want to have that conversation with everyone there, not just the one person, if it's going to affect the whole team. So moving to step three, this is what happens next. As you can see, the expectation from performance is getting farther and farther away. The gap is getting bigger. But this is what happens in step three. You think, I'm going to go tell the boss. So you're going to go from not saying anything to talking to others to going and telling the boss. this guy's slow, and I don't know what to do, things like that. What happens there is, what do you think this guy's hoping to do by telling the boss? The boss is going to handle it. I don't want to deal with it. Let the boss handle it. So that's not going to work here at ALLBRiGHT. That's not how we deal with things. We like to have healthy confrontations and keeping the little things little. If you talk to the person in the beginning and you didn't get to the point of telling others, and now you're at the point of telling the boss, that gap has gotten so much bigger that it's harder to deal with and have a healthy confrontation now, because there's so many issues in the way. There's so many things that have happened now between when you could have dealt with it to now. What you can expect your boss to tell you here at ALLBRiGHT is, it sounds like you owe them a conversation. It sounds like you need to confront this. Your boss isn't going to hear your gripe. You're going to want you to go, and your boss should say something like this. It sounds like you should have a conversation with them and you should confront them. Do you need me to be there with you? I'll be there to support. That's a better way of handling a no pairing. So in the end, you're going to go to step 4 anyhow. You're going to have to get there. You're going to have to be an adult and talk to the person in person about what it is that is between expectation and performance. So this is the healthiest way to do it. And when you do that, I want you to know that many of you who will be hearing this, it might be the first time, you may be a new employee, you may be an apprentice, and I want you to know this works both ways. It's not just somebody not talking to you, but you can also talk to your boss and say, hey, that wasn't my expectation. When I first started here, I thought this was going to happen. Rather than go and talk to somebody else about it, we're asking you to talk directly to the person that you have a difference between expectation and performance. So it works both ways. In a group setting, it's important to get everyone in the same room. And when you want to talk to a group, you say, I'm having an issue with such and such, and I want to talk about it, instead of going to individuals. So get the group together and have a healthy confrontation. Remember, we want to keep the little things little. And remember the fact that it's not about your truth only. It's about coming in and trying to seek the truth. Of course, you come in knowing your truth, but you're also seeking to understand the truth. So when you come in with that attitude, confrontation can be healthy. Remember, you're going to owe it to them to say something like, you know, I need to have this conversation with you. And if you're a boss here, or if you're some sort of support structure, you want to say something like, would you like me to join you? You don't want to just slough it off. You don't want it, I don't want to hear about it. You say, it sounds important to you. It sounds like something you owe them a conversation about. Would you like me to be there? So everyone, I want everyone to be using this type of language when we are working together, so that there is no pairing. Now, what somebody should not do is, a boss or anybody, yeah, let me hear all about your gripe. Let's come up with a plan, and then let's go confront the person. Because what are we doing there? We're not really finding the truth. What we're doing is we're confirming our thinking. We're just saying, yes, we're right, and now let's go confront it. Instead of having everyone in the room to understand what happened or what's going on, that is a better way to confront the truth and to understand what is really going on. So, like to encourage you, when it comes to that time, don't listen to gripes. If you are on the other end, say that it sounds like you owe it to that person. The fastest way to destroy trust here is to pair. So go and confront it, do it in a healthy way, and know that we're here to support you. Ask for help, we'll be there with you. We want to remember, at ALLBRiGHT, we keep the little things little, and we just don't pair. We have healthy confrontation. With that said, go, having a great ALLBRiGHT day. Thanks, everyone.